talk back there, bro. Yeah, I ain't just called it the blue.
You know, going back and forth in the studio, cool, but when it starts going left and right, it's like,
What kicked off as a rap feud turned into an all-out personal war. 50 Cent didn't just trade bars. He went straight for T.I.'s family, dragging him into the mud and turning what should have been friendly competition into a viral, jaw-dropping mess. Millions tuned in as respect vanished, tempers exploded, and the beef jumped way past the music stage into something dark and real. That's the moment the fuse got lit, and there was no going back. Now, let's rewind to where it all started, because this beef didn't just pop up out of nowhere like some random internet rumor. Nope. The tension between 50 Cent and T.I. had been simmering for years, with most of it tied to talks about a potential versus battle that never actually happened.
Remember what I told you, right?
Yeah.
What?
It's called man business.
For those who might have missed that wave, Versus was that pandemic-era live stream series where legends went hit for hit. Everybody was glued to Instagram Live, arguing over catalogs, hits, and who really ran the game. And at one point, the idea of 50 Cent facing off with T.I. wasn't just barbershop talk, it was real life. According to Tip himself, this wasn't some fan fantasy cooked up on social media. He says he and 50 actually had real-life conversations about it, face-to-face. T.I. claims they were both out in L.A. working on some TV projects when the topic came up naturally, like it was the obvious next power move. And T.I. didn't keep it vague either. He laid the whole play out, describing exactly how their convo went down. They agreed on the game plan, and T.I. says he was supposed to go first, set the stage, get the streets buzzing, and build the hype before 50 stepped in to seal the deal. T.I. recalled asking, "What you think about that? You want to do it?" And 50 allegedly said yes. So Tip ran with it. He told everyone he was down, started stirring the hype, and waited for 50 to follow up and make it official.
I said, what you think about that? Like, you want to do that? Say, yes.
Simple move, right? No games, no smoke, just two heavyweights setting up a showdown. But then, everything flipped. T.I. says once he started talking publicly, 50 suddenly switched up, like he had no clue what was going on, like all those convos was something T.I. made up in his head. And that moment right there, that's where T.I. says the respect broke for good. Not because 50 didn't want to do the battle, nah, it was how he handled it. T.I. said if 50 had just been honest, like, nah bro, I'm good on that, it'd have been all love. He'd respect the truth and move on.
I told him, I said, well, I'm gonna jump out there first, and then you just gonna jump out there and we'll line it up. And he said, all right.
But instead, T.I. says 50 dapped him up, agreed to the plan, then played dumb when it was time to show up. That's when Tip felt like he got snaked, like the loyalty just went out the window. And T.I. didn't whisper this quietly either. He stood on it. He didn't just mention it once and let it fade away. Nah, he went full throttle on multiple platforms, including $1 million worth of game, and said it proudly for the world to hear. T.I. made it clear as day he had zero interest in sharing any stage with 50 Cent after that. The man said it with his whole chest, no filters, no backpedaling. This wasn't just rap talk anymore, it was personal. That chapter was officially closed, or so everyone thought. Then, T.I. dropped a bar that shifted the whole mood and set the stage for the chaos that followed. The second those words hit, you could almost feel the energy in the room change. Now, if you know anything about 50 Cent, like even the slightest thing about how this man moves, you'd already knew what time it was.
When I jump out there, like he ain't know what the f going.
Curtis Jackson ain't the type to hear somebody say, "I don't respect you" on a public platform and just let that slide. That's not in his DNA. That's never been his style, and the proof is written across decades of music history. Let's be real, 50's entire career has been laced with confrontations, and every single one follows the same pattern. Somebody talks slick, 50 fires back harder, and before you know it, the whole thing's blown up into a full-blown war. There's no middle ground with him. It always ends with someone either tapping out or getting completely roasted in front of the world. That's the blueprint, always has been.
Then that's what it was about. Oh, look, I don't even want to, man, cause now I question your...
From the Ja Rule feud, the shook hip-hop in '99, to the game drama in the mid-2000s, to the long-running tension with Rick Ross and even Puffy, 50's playbook never changes. Say something crazy about him, and you better be ready for the smoke. What's wild is how small some of these sparks were before they turned into infernos. Take the Rick Ross situation, for example. Tony Yayo, 50's Day One G-Unit soldier, once broke down on Club Shay Shay how that entire beef started. According to him, it all came from one tiny moment. Rick Ross didn't speak to 50 at an award show. That's it. One simple interaction, or lack thereof, turned into years of diss tracks, memes, and personal jabs flying left and right.
I don't want to stand on stage with him. I had no interest in standing on stage with that.
That's the kind of ecosystem 50 thrives in. So when T.I. went on national platforms and boldly declared that he didn't respect 50 Cent as a man, the outcome was already written. There was 0% chance that was gonna slide quietly. Zero. Not long after, 50 hopped on Instagram, telling T.I. straight up, "Keep my name out your mouth." He didn't stop there. He started throwing shade at Atlanta artists too, calling out folks for being inconsistent with their loyalty. And just like that, what started as a casual back and forth over a potential music battle turned into something explosive. The tension skyrocketed, and the whole energy around the situation flipped overnight. The air got heavier, the comments got crazier, and 50 started reaching into that same infamous bag he's been digging into for over 25 years. When 50 decides he's coming for you, he doesn't just clap back, he strategizes, he studies, he embarrasses. Because if there's one thing the world should already know by now, it's that Curtis 50 Cent Jackson never fights halfway. He comes for everything.
Ross and 50, right? Ross is not, they got a beef because 50 didn't say what up to him. That's just a New York.
When 50 Cent goes after you, he doesn't just start at your name. He targets everything connected to you. Your career, your reputation, your secrets, and yeah, even your family. He's done it before, and every time it gets uglier. Remember when he went after Rick Ross? He dropped that wild video featuring Ross's ex and made sure it went viral. Then he did the same with Puffy, teasing projects and documentaries about the man's personal life just to stir the pot. And now, in February 2026, 50 was about to do it again, this time coming for T.I. in the most personal, most disrespectful, and most below-the-belt way possible.
Technical fouls on everybody, okay? Like, how did we get here from a versus battle?
This was the turning point, the moment that flipped everything. The second where a rap feud turned into something way darker, a full-blown family war. Because on February 22nd, 2026, 50 Cent made a move that had the entire internet going crazy. And honestly, if you followed this man's history, you already knew what was coming. When 50 feels disrespected, he doesn't hold back. He makes it personal, fast. Now, before diving into what went down, you gotta understand who we're talking about when we mention King Harris's mom. Tiny Harris isn't just T.I.'s wife. She's not some random person caught in rap crossfire. Nah, Tiny's a certified legend. She's a Grammy-winning singer, one of the powerhouse voices behind the iconic R&B group Escape, a group that was dominating stages and topping charts before most of today's fans were even born.
20 songs versus 20 songs. Now we got people, being called federal informant.
She and T.I. tied the knot back in 2010, and together they built a family that includes their son, King Harris, born in 2004. So Tiny isn't just a background character in T.I.'s story. She's got her own legacy, her own career, and her own spotlight. That's exactly why what happened next had people absolutely losing it online. Because on that February day, 50 Cent posted a photo of Tiny Harris straight to Instagram. And not just any photo, but one clearly chosen to embarrass her. The picture showed her on stage in a revealing outfit, her skirt riding up mid-performance. It wasn't flattering, and it wasn't random. It was meant to sting.
People's wives and mothers being insulted. Like, how did all this escalate so quick?
50 wanted to get under T.I.'s skin, and this was his way of doing it. And the caption? Pure 50. Sharp, cold, and calculated. He wrote, "I keep saying keep my name out your mouth." That's it. Simple, but it hit like a punch. Within minutes, the post spread like wildfire. Everyone from hot new hip-hop to Complex covered it, calling the move messy and crossing the line. Social media exploded with takes, some saying 50 went too far, others saying he's just playing his game, but everyone agreed the beef had turned personal. Because there's an old school rule in hip-hop that's been around forever. You can diss a man's music, question his street rep, even mock his business moves, but you don't bring his lady into the beef. That's sacred territory. The unspoken code says you never drag someone's partner into a war they didn't start. But let's be honest, 50 Cent has never played by anyone else's rules. That's part of what makes him, well, 50. He built his entire brand on pushing limits, testing boundaries, and proving that no topic, no territory, and no person is off limits once you're in his sights. That's why his name rings out decades later, because he's unpredictable, relentless, and always willing to go where others won't. And that mindset right there, that's what makes 50 one of the most dangerous people to have beef with in the entire rap game. When he declares war, he doesn't care about rules, lines, or too far. For him, there's no such thing.
Boy, T.I. has never lost his rapping mojo. You hear?
Ain't nothing off limits when 50 Cent decides he's going to war. That's the exact mindset that's made him one of the most feared and unpredictable figures in hip-hop history. When 50 locks in on you, he doesn't just clap back, he detonates everything in your orbit. Which brings us to King Harris, because if you thought that photo of Tiny was the explosion, you couldn't be more wrong. That wasn't the bomb, that was the fuse being lit. The real blast came straight from King Harris himself. Born in August 2004, King is T.I. and Tiny's son, a young artist already making waves as a rapper and known for being bold and unfiltered online. He's got that fire in him, the kind of energy that comes from growing up in the spotlight. From reality TV cameras to viral moments, King's been surrounded by fame, drama, and controversy since day one, and he's never been shy about speaking his mind. So when he saw what 50 Cent posted about his mom, he didn't hesitate for a single second. No deep breaths, no calling his dad for advice, nothing. King jumped straight on Instagram Live and went off. What followed was a wild, no-holds-barred rant, an emotional explosion that had the whole internet locked in. He let loose, defending his mother with full force, every word dripping with anger and pride. His reaction was intense, loud, passionate, and deeply personal. People couldn't believe what they were hearing. It wasn't just a son defending his mom, it was a public showdown that flipped the entire situation upside down. Within minutes, clips from the live stream were everywhere, spreading like wildfire and sending shockwaves through every corner of social media.
Just didn't care for whatever reason, but Dime Trap and The Libra and Us or Else and Trouble Man, Heavy as the Head, all those were dope albums.
Now, let's really break down what King Harris said, because this wasn't just a regular clapback. King didn't only go after 50 Cent the rapper, or Curtis Jackson the businessman, or even the TV mogul behind all those hit shows. Nah, King went after Curtis Jackson the man, and he hit him right where it hurts most, his past. He went straight for 50's deepest wound, his childhood pain.
T.I. has never slacked lyrically or musically. Y'all just cared now, and I'm actually happy y'all do.
Now, T.I. back to...
King brought up 50 Cent's late mother, Sabrina Jackson, who tragically passed away in a mysterious fire when Curtis was just 8 years old. It's a piece of his life that 50 has talked about before, but not something most people dare to touch. Yet King didn't hold back at all. He took it to a level that left everyone stunned. On camera, King told 50 to go dig up his dead mama. He even posted a photo of a tombstone with the caption, "This where your mama at." That alone sent the internet into flames, but it didn't stop there.
Honestly, what his wife got to do with anything, you know, the family thing, it's just weird. Them two brothers got a problem.
King used Sabrina Jackson's name in ways too harsh and disrespectful to even repeat. He crossed the line and left fans and industry heads shaking their heads in disbelief. Then, in the same breath, he flipped the comparison, lifting his own mama up as a symbol of greatness. He called Tiny a legend, a Grammy winner, a queen, and tried to use that contrast to justify his words. It was meant to make a point, but it landed like a bomb, because instead of just defending his mother, King ended up stirring one of the most shocking viral storms hip-hop has seen in years. Within hours, clips from his live stream flooded Instagram Reels, TikTok, YouTube, everywhere. Millions of people watched in disbelief as this 21-year-old went off with zero filter, turning raw emotion into something no one could look away from. Comment sections blew up instantly.
That's what y'all gonna do. But the moment you bring somebody's family into it, it gets crazy. So I totally understand why King went off.
Everyone had an opinion, and nobody was holding back. And that's the thing about the internet. It doesn't waste time picking sides. Almost immediately, the public split right down the middle. On one side, you had people cheering King on, saying he was completely justified for riding for his mama that hard. They said, if a man disrespects your mom publicly, you got every right to snap, no limits. But then there was the other side, the one saying King had gone way too far, that dragging a man's deceased mother, especially one who died when he was just a kid, was a line no one should ever cross, no matter the beef, period, full stop. It was one of those moments where everyone had to ask themselves, where's the line in this game anymore? One commentator summed it up perfectly, saying the whole thing had spun completely out of control. In just a few days, we went from two rap legends debating a friendly versus battle to talking about tombstones, dead mothers, and families being dragged through the digital mud.
If you had an altercation or you did something to me that made me feel like I had to get you, I wouldn't stop.
And that right there, that's exactly what made this moment so disturbing. Because it stopped being about hip-hop. It became about families, real people with real emotions caught in a storm that started with music and ended with pain. And while all this was happening, everyone was waiting to see how 50 Cent would respond. Would he go nuclear too? Would he drop some emotional 20-minute rant? Nah, he stayed calm and did what he's always done best, troll the situation into oblivion. Instead of anger, he hit the internet with pure sarcasm. 50 posted a Pepe the Frog meme on Instagram with just one word in the caption, LOL. That's it. No essays, no explanations, just pure 50 Cent energy. The man turned one of the wildest, most emotional moments of the year into a joke within seconds. And just like that, the firestorm kept burning, but 50 walked away as cold and calculated as ever. 50 didn't even need to say a single word to clap back to King. He let a cartoon frog do all the talking. That Pepe the Frog meme laughing at the youngin', that was his whole response. No captions, no paragraphs, just pure silent smoke. And honestly, if you've watched how 50 operates over the last 2 decades, you already know. That kind of move hits way harder than every rant or diss track ever could. The message was loud and clear without a single word spoken. You not even worth me getting mad over, little bro. Cold, calculated, classic 50. That post said everything. He wasn't sweating, wasn't stressed, just laughing while the internet lost its mind. But then, oh, it didn't stop there. Because just when folks thought 50 had made his point and moved on, he dropped something that sent shockwaves through every timeline. The man shared a video that had people's jaws on the floor. This wasn't some random meme. This was a straight-up production. 50 shared an AI-edited clip from the 2006 movie ATL. Yeah, the same one that starred T.I. himself. And in the new version, 50's face was deep-faked onto one of the film's characters. The clip was slick, funny, and savage all at once. In the scene, the deep-faked 50 rolls up on a younger guy, and the dialogue, it was aimed directly at King Harris, like a laser. The tone, the timing, the delivery, it was all precision trolling at its finest. The internet exploded again, everyone saying the same thing. Oh yeah, 50's on demon time now.
Until I got you. You see what I'm saying? Because then we stopped the rap. Done rapping, we start doing something else.
Now, the AI thing really just kicked off the next phase, bad to worse, because the fire wasn't cooling off anytime soon. 50 rolls up real smooth, calm, confident, like an OG checking in on a youngin' he used to school. It started off chill, but then the tone shifted fast. The message? Grown man business. 4 words to set it all. Fall back, lil' bro. This ain't your lane. This ain't your weight. The clip ended with a finisher that was both funny and menacing. The caption read, "Grown man, boy." In one slick move, 50 had used AI tech, flipped a movie T.I. once starred in, and turned it into a troll masterpiece, equal parts hilarious and low-key threatening. Some fans called it genius-level trolling, others called it creepy and out of pocket, but one thing's for sure, everybody was talking about it, and that's what 50 does best. He doesn't need to win the moral debate, just the attention game, and in that lane he stays undefeated. At this point, people thought maybe things would cool off, that after the meme, the deep fake clip, and King's meltdown, both sides might chill out. But nah, if you thought that, you don't know these folks. The fire was just getting started. T.I. slid into the comments on 50's original Tiny post, and his clapback was classic tip, raw, poetic, and cutting. He wrote, "You can post a fat person on a snowstorm, on a unicycle, juggling nose. You still a clown." King said that. It was wild, but it sent one clear message. He was riding with his son, no questions asked. Then T.I. doubled down on his IG story, writing, "You can win because you a good man, a good dad, and a good person." But Tip wasn't done. He's an MC before anything else, so he did what real rappers do when there's smoke. He hit the studio. T.I. dropped a track called War, firing lyrical shots straight at 50's character, past, and reputation. The bars were sharp, the delivery was cold, and it reminded everybody exactly why T.I.'s been a heavyweight in the game for over 2 decades. And that's just facts. Whatever anyone thinks about T.I. personally, when he picks up that pen, the man delivers, every time. His bars still hit with that same sharpness that made him a legend in the first place. But here's the truth. T.I. hadn't been on the coach's radar like that for a minute. Hip-hop had shifted, new waves came through, and Tip was mostly in his grown man bag. But this whole chaotic mess, it pulled everyone's eyes right back on him. Suddenly, the world was tuned in again. Meanwhile, King Harris wasn't backing down. He was only getting started. On February 23rd and 24th, King came back swinging even harder. He dug up a 2004 court clip where 50 admitted on the stand to assaulting 3 women at a concert. His caption read, "All you do is apply pressure to females. Bring that smoke to the chimney. Just getting started." Then King dropped what people called a full-blown digital expose. On his Instagram stories, he compiled every messy chapter of 50's career, like a courtroom presentation for the internet. He brought up the 9 gunshots, the loss to Kanye's graduation, the endless rap beefs, the family drama, and even the tension with 50's oldest son, Marquise. He laid it all out, piece by piece, daring people to judge for themselves. But then he crossed a serious line. King posted a photo of 50's youngest son, Sire, sitting on 50's lap, writing, "You think you raising a man, having him sit in your lap as a teenager. That's sus he cly." That moment changed everything, because up until then, it was grown folks trading shots, but bringing a child into the mix, that had everyone online saying one thing: yeah, this just went too far. That's when everything took a darker turn. A kid who had nothing to do with any of this mess suddenly got dragged in. Even people who were backing King started feeling uneasy after that move. It just didn't sit right. But let's pause for a second, because beneath all the chaos, the posts, the memes, the diss tracks, there was a bigger conversation happening. This whole feud had turned into a spotlight on generational conflict and how different eras handle beef. On one side, you had 50 Cent, a man in his 50s trolling with precision, using memes, deepfakes, and perfectly timed posts. Cool, calm, and ruthless. No shouting, no emotion, just pure strategy. Then on the other side stood King Harris, 21 years old, raw and impulsive, going live on Instagram, letting it all out, unfiltered emotion pouring through the screen. 2 completely different playbooks for the same war, one built on experience, the other on emotion. And that's what had so many people conflicted together and turned into something way deeper and way sadder. Most people agreed this whole thing should have stayed between T.I. and 50 Cent. 2 hip-hop legends with enough hits to headline a festival didn't need to drag families, lost ones, and kids into it. Instead, the feud spiraled into something darker. Wives, tombstone memes, and pain turned into internet content. That's the real tragedy here, because both sides had points, but both sides crossed lines. 50 Cent had no reason to post that photo of Tiny. She wasn't in the beef, never said a word about him, and didn't deserve to be dragged through the mud. She became collateral damage in a battle that should have stayed between grown men. And King, yeah, he had every right to be mad. Any son would defend his mother. But going after 50's late mom, a woman who passed when he was just a kid, that's a wound that never really heals. Turning that into content wasn't defending family, it was twisting pain into a weapon for views. By February 25th, King took it even further, dropping a full diss track aimed straight at 50 Cent. It was raw, aggressive, and made one thing clear: he wasn't backing down anytime soon. The feud that started as rap talk had officially turned into an all-out war, and there was no telling where it would go next. 50 Cent stayed cool as ice, classic Fifth energy. On the surface, he looked completely unbothered, focused on his business empire and even his new Broadway ventures, while still finding time to clown his rivals online. He kept reposting memes and podcast clips that mocked King and Tiny, all without breaking a sweat. That's the signature 50 Cent playbook. Stay calm, stay collected, but make sure everybody knows you're watching every move and ready to strike whenever you feel like it. And that's the real line right there. The thin divide between entertainment and something much darker than rap bars or Instagram jokes. Because when emotions, families, and real-life trauma get mixed into the game, it stops being just about music. It becomes personal, raw, and dangerous. But one thing's for sure, this feud has the whole culture watching, and nobody knows how far it will go next. Thanks for watching. If you're locked into this drama, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video to keep the conversation going. And if you want more wild hip-hop stories and breakdowns just like this, click one of the videos on your screen right now.